Make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point. What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the Puncher's Point. February 21st, Ryan Garcia comes back to the ring trying to get back on track, get back in the win column after his loss to Rolly Romero versus Mario Barrios. Now, as far as Mario Barrios, Barrios is trying to get on the right track after two draws. So overall, Mario Barrios, last two fights, they were draws to Abel Ramos and the great Manny Pacquiao making his comeback. He's still the WBC welterweight champion. This is going to be for the WBC welterweight belt, and it's going to be taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada at the T-Mobile Arena. Now, both of these guys, they got a lot to prove. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. As far as Ryan Garcia, he has to get back into the win column. And as far as Ryan Garcia has to win a world title. And the reason why is because he's part of that group that a lot of us have seen for the last 5-6 years. You know, he was there with Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney. We were talking about a lot of these guys, Teofimo Lopez. We were talking about these guys, and all of them have became champions within that group that we were talking about. And you can argue that Ryan's the biggest star out of all of them. You can argue that. Some people might debate between him and Tank, but Ryan is one of the biggest stars in boxing. He's one of the most popular names in boxing. So the fact that Ryan Garcia hasn't won a world title yet, it's kind of a little bit frightening. It's kind of a little bit worrisome. And overall, obviously, y'all are going to mention the Devin Haney fight. He didn't win the title because, A, he was 3 pounds overweight, but let's be honest, even then, with the whole testing positive for the PEDs, he wouldn't have won that belt to begin with. Now, as far as Mario Barrios is pretty interesting because he has a new trainer, and that new trainer is Joe Goosen. Joe Goosen was the trainer for Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis when they fought. So there's a lot of things going on here. You know, the press conferences have been kind of fun. I'm not going to lie. Some of it's been a little corny from Ryan Garcia's part. But regardless, both of these guys, they're coming in to fight. Both these guys are coming in prepared, and they need to be prepared. I truly believe we're going to see the best version of both of these guys because they don't have any other choice. So with all of that being said, we're going to kick it off with Ryan Garcia. Now, usually I like to kick it off with the champion, but Ryan Garcia is the more notable fighter out of the two. So with that being said, let's kick it off with Ryan Garcia. Now, the first strength I have for Ryan Garcia, y'all are going to be surprised. I know y'all would think it's the left hook, and don't get me wrong, the left hook, it's had a bunch of knockouts, a bunch of viral knockouts, especially when he was younger. But since working with Derek James, I found that the overhand right, in my opinion, is his biggest tool. And the reason why I say that is because he's always had that overhand right. He just used the left hook a lot more. But when he started working with Derek James, you started seeing him use that overhand right a lot more. And you could tell that he got really comfortable with it because regardless of what everybody thinks, Ryan Garcia, he is a right-handed fighter. He is an orthodox fighter. So when he started doing that whole weird Philly shell type thing, when Derek James took him under his tutelage and Derek James taught him the new skills, I do believe that the overhand right became a more effective tool for Ryan Garcia. The second punch, obviously, I would say it's the left hook. The left hook is the punch that a lot of us are big fans of. Look, you can love Ryan Garcia, you can hate Ryan Garcia. It does not matter. The one thing you cannot say is that dude does not have one of the best hooks in the game. Ryan Garcia's got a beautiful left hook. And if he hits you with that left hook, you're going to know about it. When he hits you with that left hook, most of these guys already know what's coming, and most of these guys are on the canvas. They fall to the ground, and it sounds as loud as a sack of potatoes. So I will say the left hook is definitely his most popular punch, but I'm going to say that the overhand right is the more effective punch. He's got fast hands. That's always been the thing with Ryan Garcia. He's always had fast hands. This guy has always had lightning quick reflexes. Ryan Garcia, say what you want, but hey, overall, when you step into the ring with Ryan Garcia, the athletic ability that he has, you know, the fast hands, the power that he's got in both of his hands, that outweighs a lot of the fundamental errors that he has. And don't get me wrong, those fundamental errors have been exposed. It's been exposed by Rolly. It's been exposed by Gervonta Davis. And one moment by Luke Campbell. I've seen some of those things being exposed by guys like Oscar Duarte, Devin Haney, same thing. So overall, he has been exposed to some of those fundamental errors, but his athletic ability, it overshadows it in a lot of his fights. I mean, the guy's 24-0. He's got over 20 knockouts. You don't get that by not having some type of skill or ability. So what I will say about Ryan Garcia is those fast hands have always been a part of his game, but it's a part of his athletic prowess. It's a part of what makes Ryan Garcia such a tough fighter to beat. The jab. Now, what I will say is I got to give Derek James a lot of credit because ever since working with Derek James, Ryan Garcia has definitely established that jab as a punch that he looks to use against his opponents. You see, when Ryan Garcia started fighting a little bit more technical, you could tell that the jab was a punch that Ryan Garcia started feeling a lot more comfortable with. It was a punch that was working even before Derek James. If you want to go back to the fight with Tank Davis, he was having a lot of success with that jab. He shied away from it, but he was having a lot of success with the jab. And I think Derek James just kind of took that jab to another level. So for me, the jab is a good punch for Ryan Garcia. It's a punch that I do believe that if he consistently learns how to use, he's going to have a lot more success in boxing. The other strength that I have for Ryan Garcia is I like the way he uses his reach. A lot of the times when Ryan Garcia steps into the ring with these fighters, a lot of the times he is the taller fighter. In this fight, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because him and Mario Barrios are actually pretty close in height. It's not going to be one of those things where Ryan Garcia is going up against a shorter fighter. So it's going to be interesting to see how he uses that reach against somebody like Mario Barrios, who, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say he's taller. I want to say Mario Barrios is taller than Ryan Garcia. But regardless, they're both relatively similar in height, and it's going to be interesting to see how he uses that reach. But that reach has always been a skill for Ryan Garcia. It's always been an attribute for Ryan Garcia that he's been able to use pretty well. He's always been able to use that reach pretty well to kind of measure that space, to see what his opponents are going to do, to kind of measure how he can throw the counter or how he can throw the left hook. The range has been a very underrated attribute to his game. It's an obvious attribute. I mean, obviously the guy's taller than many fighters that he fights, but it's a very underrated attribute because I don't think a lot of people see how Ryan Garcia has been able to use that range throughout the years. Checks. He's very good with checks, where that's a check hook, a check uppercut. He's very good when it comes to those types of checks. He really is good at using check punches to keep his opponents at bay. He's very good at using those check punches to knock out opponents, to knock them down. He's very good at using those types of check punches. And the one that everybody remembers is the check hooks that he was using against Devin Haney. You guys can go back and look at some of his earlier fights. The checks were always there with Ryan Garcia. Offensively, Ryan Garcia's got a lot of skills. And I do believe that those skills were heightened by the athletic ability that he has. But the checks were always there, in my opinion. It wasn't something that got developed. It was something that I truly believe he's had since day one. Strong puncher. I mean, that goes without saying. He's very good at it. Goes without saying. He is a strong puncher. He's got power in the left and power in the right. If you think that it's just the left hook that he's got, then you're dead mistaken. Again, he's got that right straight, and that right straight is something you got to watch out for. He can throw a hook with the right. He can land an uppercut. He can hurt you to the body. Okay. And by the way, since I'm mentioning the body, I would like to see him go to the body a lot more. Okay. Because the most body activity that I see from Ryan Garcia is when he's on YouTube and he's punching his little YouTube friends, is when he's on YouTube and he's punching people like Krishan Rock and body punch challenges, or Aiden Ross, or whatever celebrity he decides to do the body punch challenge with. It seems like Ryan Garcia is not as active to the body as I would like to see him be. But regardless, he is a good body puncher when he goes to the body. I mean, we obviously seen a knockout with Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell couldn't beat the count because of that body punch. And if Ryan Garcia just attacks the body a lot more, again, he'll have a lot more success as a fighter. And we're going to see what he does against Mario Barrios. But overall, the dude's got power in both of his hands. And again, both of his hands you're going to have to look out for. Now, with all of that being said, I mentioned the fundamental weaknesses of Ryan Garcia, and we're going to talk about those a little bit. First up, the left hook is the most susceptible punch that he's been exposed to. I mean, you can look at the fights with Luke Campbell, with Rolly Romero. He's always been susceptible to that left hook. And the reason why I exclude the Tank one is because I do believe that Tank was super smart in setting that up. I don't think it was one of those things where he got hit with a left hook, kind of like he did with Luke Campbell, where he could have defended that, or he got hit with a left hook against Rolly Romero, where he could have defended that. He threw a punch, he missed, ducked under it. He came up with it with a punch, and that was it. And he knocked him down. I got to give Tank all the credit in the world. That was very strategic. I truly believe a lot of guys would have been knocked down by that same exact punch. But the Rolly left hook and the Luke Campbell left hook, there's no excuse for. So the left hook is definitely the biggest punch that he's susceptible for. He gets uncomfortable when you shrink the space on him. He gets uncomfortable when you shrink the space on him. Ryan Garcia is that type of guy that he can cut the ring on you. He can put the pressure on you, but if you do it to him, he don't like that. And recently, I haven't been liking it, but ever since he partnered up with Derrick James, and I don't want to blame Derrick James for this, but I've noticed it a lot. He's been doing it. He did it in the Oscar Duarte fight, and he did it in the Devin Haney fight. If you go back and you look at those two fights, the one thing that Ryan Garcia has been doing that's been annoying me is he's been putting himself in the armadillo position. He's been turning his back on his opponents, and he's just been covering up like this. And in my opinion, I hate that because all that shows is that you have no defensive ability in that moment. And that's not true because I do believe that Ryan Garcia can work on being a defensive fighter, but that's not how you do it. And maybe it's because he's trying to do this Philly shell. Who knows? But I'm sick and tired of seeing Ryan Garcia turn his back on his opponents and just cover up. It's really annoying. I'm sick and tired of seeing Ryan Garcia in the armadillo position. So I don't think he's going to watch this. But if Ryan Garcia, for some weird reason, this video pops up on your phone or pops up on your laptop or on your feed, please do me a favor. Please stop doing that stupid armadillo position. I'm begging you. But in my opinion, when you cut the space on him and you shrink that space and you force him on those ropes in those corners and you force him to fight on the back foot, he's not very comfortable with it. He drops his guard. That's been the biggest thing. That's where a lot of these punches have came in. He drops his guard. And when he drops his guard, these opponents take effect on it. Now, recently, I will say he has been a little bit better with it. I know y'all are going to mention the Rolly Romero knockdown, but after that, Rolly really didn't do too much to him, and I do believe that Ryan Garcia has been better at defending himself, but at the same time, it still is a weakness. He's still dropping his hands. He's still dropping the guard. And I thought that it was only the left side that he was dropping. Turns out he drops the right too. He drops the right side, and that's the reason why these guys are able to land those types of hooks on him. So I will say I do believe his guard is a little bit weak. He tends to move back too much, and I already mentioned this, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail with it. He tends to back up too much, and it's not about him being on the ropes or him being on the corner. A lot of the times when Ryan Garcia backs up too much, it's because his opponent took the middle of the ring. When his opponent took the middle of the ring, Ryan Garcia already had less space to work with. The only thing he can do is either move laterally or try to move around. But the problem is Ryan Garcia, I'm not saying his footwork is bad. I think it's kind of average. It's not a weakness, but it's not a strength. But he doesn't have the footwork like somebody like a Shakur Stevenson or like a Terrence Crawford, a Lomachenko, to where he can give up that type of space, to where he can move back and he can be able to figure that out. Ryan Garcia is not that type of guy. So a lot of the times his opponents take the middle of the ring and he's already has less space than what he needs. So in my opinion, he tends to move back too much. It does put him on the ropes. It does put him on the corner, but at the same time, it gives him less space to work on. I do believe that when Ryan Garcia is in the middle of the ring and he's able to measure his opponents, examine his opponents, I do believe that's the best Ryan Garcia that we can see. He gets too cautious in the Rolly Romero fight after he got hit with that hook. Rolly is a strong puncher. Again, we all love to make fun of Rolly, but Rolly is a strong puncher. When Rolly hit him with that punch, Ryan Garcia was cautious throughout the entire fight. And even in the Devin Haney fight, he took a couple rounds off. Sometimes Ryan Garcia gets a little bit too cautious and he lacks activity. And to me, that's a problem. Now, as far as the fundamental errors, body openings. The body opening is right there. I mean, Ryan Garcia, he's been knocked out by a body punch before in Tank Davis. But you can attack the body. You can jab, you can throw straights at the body. You can do that with Ryan Garcia because that body is always open. He tends to turn away from attacks. I already mentioned that. However, the other thing is he can't keep his position in the ring. That goes back to both of those combined. Him turning his body and him giving up the middle of the ring to his opponents. He can't keep his position in the ring. That's why he's constantly moving around. That's why he's constantly trying to move lateral, or he's constantly moving to the side. He can't keep his position. He can't keep his position in the ring. And in my opinion, I want to see Ryan Garcia stand 10 toes down where he is. When you take a position in the ring, don't rely on your back foot. Don't get pushed back. Stay there. Okay? Be defensive in space. Do not push yourself back. Just stay right there. Hold your ground. That's what I want to see from Ryan Garcia. And last but not least, he's got lack of head movement. I'm not saying he doesn't have any. Okay. I think he's better with creating space than he is with head movement. I really don't see a lot of times where Ryan Garcia uses that head movement. I would like to see it a lot more. I'm hoping that since he's continuing to fight under Derrick James, I'm hoping Derrick James can teach him a couple tricks when it comes to head movement. Not saying he doesn't have it, but I'd like to see it a lot more out of him. And I don't see it enough out of Ryan Garcia. So in my opinion, those would be all the weaknesses that I have for Ryan Garcia. But again, susceptible to the left hook, dropping his guard, leaving his body open, turning away from his opponents. Those types of things are the fundamental errors that Ryan Garcia has established throughout his career that I'd like to see him dissemble, or I'd like to see him get away from. And so we go to the champion, the WBC welterweight champion, Mario Barrios. Now, as far as Mario Barrios, he's got some similarities to Ryan Garcia. Obviously, we could talk about the height, we could talk about the reach, but he's got some similarities, and we're going to talk about it. So the first strength I have for Mario Barrios, the best punch for Mario Barrios is that right. In my opinion, that right hand is his best punch, and he likes to use it mostly as a straight right, and it is a powerful punch. Don't let him mistake you, okay? I've said it before, and I've been on record saying that out of all the champions right now, I do believe that Mario Barrios is probably the easiest one to beat, or he's got the most holes in his game to where you can beat him. But at the same time, Mario Barrios, that right hand, it's a thing of beauty. And when he hits you with that right hand, you're going to know about it. Mario Barrios is very good at establishing that right hand. He's established it throughout his whole career. I do believe that the right hand, it's a punch that a lot of opponents are looking out for. And regardless of whatever you think about Mario Barrios, you got to watch out for that right hand. So that's his best punch. He's sneaky to the body as well. That's what I like about Mario Barrios. He's very sneaky to the body. A lot of these guys, they'll swing and they'll swing out of range, or they'll miss a punch, or he'll slip a punch and then he'll hit them in the body and they won't even know about it. Mario Barrios has had a decent amount of knockouts to the body. He's had a decent amount of knockdowns to the body. And I do believe that Mario Barrios, even though I do believe that out of all the champions, he might be the easiest one to beat right now, he's also probably the most dangerous fighter to fight in this division. Obviously, if you look at the 147-pound division, you got Devin Haney, you got Rolly Romero, but Mario Barrios is a dangerous fighter to fight. He's kind of, I don't want to say he's difficult to prepare for, but it all depends on what Mario Barrios is going to get out there. And in my opinion, if Mario Barrios is on his game, he's got some tools in the bag. So I do believe that him being a sneaky body puncher is one of them. And he's very consistent to the body as well. I already mentioned how he's good with slips. He's very good at slipping punches and landing some counters. He's very good at luring his opponents in and clipping them with something that they don't expect. He's good with creating space. Obviously, when you're the taller opponent, when you go up against a lot of the fighters that you're going up against and you are the taller fighter, a lot of the times you learn how to control your range. You learned how to create the space between you and your opponents. And like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how Ryan Garcia is going to handle range and handle space. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see how Mario Barrios handles that as well. So I will say he has done a very good job of controlling range and space, so much so that he's became an outside fighter. He's got a good jab. I would say that's his second punch. Mario Barrios got a good jab. He's very good at using it. A perfect example is go look at the Tank fight. He was leading the majority of that fight against Tank until Tank had those two knockdowns in, I believe, round 7 or round 8. But before that, Mario Barrios, he was winning the fight by jabbing and landing that straight, by taking quick step forward, hitting him with that straight, hitting him with the jab, backing him up with that, getting him on the ropes. He was doing a very good job of that. And he has a good jab. And I think that if he establishes it in this fight, Ryan Garcia is going to have a lot of problems. He's fast. I don't think he's as fast as Ryan Garcia, though, but I will say his speed is a strength. He's very good at quick bursts. He's not the type of guy to just zoom right in and tee off on some punches, but he's very good at those quick first 2 steps coming forward. He's very good at coming forward with 2 steps, landing, a 1-2 combination and then kind of slipping out. He's very good at using that type of movement. Even though he's not as fast as Ryan Garcia, I would honestly say that his footwork is better than Ryan Garcia's. And then last but not least, the left hook. He's got a good left hook on him. And he's knocked down guys with that left hook. He's hurt guys with that left hook. I will say that's his third best punch is the left hook. He loves that right hand. He loves that right hand. But if he has a chance to hit you with that left hook, he's going to hit you with that left hook. So if I had to point to the 3 punches to watch out for Mario Barrios, I would say it's the right, the jab, and the left hook. Those would be the 3 punches. But other than that, what makes Mario Barrios a good fighter, what makes him a champion fighter, is how sneaky he is to the body, how he's able to create space, how he's able to use his range, and how he's able to keep opponents at bay with the abilities that he has. Now, as far as the weaknesses with Mario Barrios, jabs and straights are his weaknesses. The same thing that he uses, that's his weakness. Go look at the Pacquiao fight. Go look at when Gervonta Davis was taking over that fight. Go look at the Abel Ramos fights. The jab and the straights are the 2 punches that Mario Barrios has trouble with. And again, he could be backed up pretty easily too. Do you see the similarities that he has with Ryan Garcia on the positive side and the negative side? That's what I'm talking about right there. Both of these guys, they fight relatively the same. I'd like to think Mario is less careless. I like to think Ryan Garcia is more athletic. If you want to kind of differentiate the two, I think Ryan Garcia is stronger and faster, but I think Mario Barrios has some of those fundamentals down more than Ryan Garcia. But his biggest weakness are the jabs and the straights, and a lot of the times that's how you're able to take over a fight. And the reason why that weakness is so important, because it's not a certain punch that you have to look out for to knock him out. The jab and the straight, the reason why those 2 punches are so important to defeating Mario Barrios is those are 2 punches that you can not only knock him out with, but if you're going to go the distance, those are 2 punches that you got a high favorable chance of winning rounds off of. So in my opinion, the jabs and the straights, those would be the biggest weakness for Mario Barrios. Pressure, again, another guy who could be backed up, another guy who kind of lets go of some rounds like he did with Gervonta Davis. He let go of some rounds with Manny Pacquiao. Even go back to the Keith Thurman fight. There were times where Keith Thurman would pressure him. Pressure for Mario Barrios. Mario Barrios isn't a pressure fighter. But when he's under pressure, I don't think he performs too well. I think there's a lot of times when Mario Barrios, he's got heart. I will say that right now. Mario Barrios has heart, and he relies on that heart to get him through the fight. But when opponents start pressuring him, when they start landing those straights and those jabs, and you start seeing Mario Barrios deteriorate, you start seeing Mario Barrios will start getting cut. You'll start seeing him give up some rounds. You'll start seeing him shift momentum towards the opponent that he's fighting. A lot of the times, that's the problem. It's through the jabs and the straights, but at the same time, the pressure gets to him. His guard is too wide. There's a lot of times when Mario Barrios is fighting and he's like this, so it's easy to land those straights and jabs. It's easy to push him back. Again, his body is wide open. I remember Gervonta Davis, I believe, knocked him down with a body shot. These are things that you got to watch out with Mario Barrios. This is where the pressure gets too much for him. And at the same time, this is when it all starts. And again, it's all through the foundation. His stance is too wide and his guard is too wide. And I do believe that's the reason why Mario Barrios is always getting pushed back, why opponents are consistently landing those straights and those jabs on him. Hooks around the guard. Again, I like what Tank did against Mario Barrios. I'm going to tell you what he did. After going back and looking at the film, Tank did a very good job of using that straight and jab. He did a very good job of using those combos. He did a very good job of pushing Mario Barrios back towards the later half of that fight. But Mario Barrios was expecting it so much, he kept getting hit with it so much that he completely forgot about the hook. And I believe it was a right hook that he got clipped with. He got clipped with a right hook, and he went down. That was the first knockdown that Mario Barrios suffered in that fight. And it's because he was so worried about the straights and the jabs that he didn't see the hooks. See, the thing is with Mario Barrios, though, and Abel Ramos did it very well, too, you can land hooks around his guard. His guard is not strong, so you can land those hooks around his guard. You can get through it. You can get around it. And I do believe that the hook is going to be a big punch in this fight. It's probably going to be one of the most underrated punches in this fight. I already mentioned how he can be backed up, how he can be pushed back. The other thing, he takes too much damage. I mentioned how he'll end up getting cuts on his eye, or he'll have a bloody nose, or he'll end up taking too many body shots or too many punches. Mario Barrios, when he's on his game, he's very precise, and I do believe that he's very good at staying out of trouble. The problem is when those fights start slipping away from him and a lot of these guys want to go punch for punch, Mario Barrios engages. Manny Pacquiao, a perfect example. Manny Pacquiao was charging forward, landing straights and jabs. The problem with Mario Barrios was Mario Barrios wanted to engage. He wanted to get his lick back. Go to the Keith Thurman fight, it's the same exact thing. The Abel Ramos fight, great fight. The one thing I could say about Mario Barrios, besides the tank fight, because the tank fight was kind of boring, but besides that, Mario Barrios, he has great fights. But the problem is, the reason why he has great fights is because he's engaging with his opponents and they're going punch for punch. I don't like seeing that out of Barrios. I think Barrios looked the best through the first half of that tank fight, in my opinion. And I want to see that type of Barrios. I want to see the Barrios that fights on the outside. I want to see the Barrios that establishes his jab. I want to see the Barrios that uses that straight, uses his range. That's the Mario Barrios that I want to see. And then last but not least, he falls for decoy punches. Now, when I was given the preview episode for Pacquiao and Barrios, I mentioned how he falls for feints. After looking at it, he falls for the decoy punches, the punches that don't matter, the punches where guys are just punching him on the glove to force him to lower his guard, and then they clip him with something. Tank was doing the same thing. He was throwing punches that really didn't mean much so that Mario Barrios would weaken his guard even more than what it was, and he would counterattack on that. In my opinion, Mario Barrios, he falls for those decoy punches, those punches that they're throwing not to land, but they're just throwing to force you to open up. Mario Barrios, he falls for those types of punches, just like he falls for the feints. And in my opinion, that's a thing that Mario Barrios, he's going to have to tighten up on in this fight. Because again, like I said, if he gets clipped by a hook from Ryan Garcia, or if he gets clipped by that overhand right, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And so we go to the betting odds for this fight now. Ryan Garcia, he is the favorite in this fight as the challenger at minus 198, while Mario Barrios as the champion is the plus 260 underdog. These odds are by FanDuel, and they are subjected to change as we get closer to the fight. Now, with all of that being said, we're going to get back to the betting odds. We're going to get to the prediction, but let's go to the keys to victory. And Ryan Garcia, what are Ryan Garcia's 3 keys to victory? Well, the first key I had was stick to the jab. Ryan Garcia's got a good jab, and I want to see Ryan Garcia stick to the jab. I don't want to see him shy away from it. I don't want to see Ryan Garcia go to some other punch that he can get careless with. Stick to jab. The jab is always going to be there. We saw it with Shakur Stevenson. The jab is the most important punch in boxing. I've said it in so many fights. Shakur Stevenson proved it in his last fight. The jab sets up everything. Ryan Garcia was doing good with the jab against Tank. Again, that jab is going to be there. Even Oscar Duarte had success with the jab. Keep using that jab. So stick the jab in that fight. Follow up with the overhand right. Again, when Mario Barrios gets hit with a certain punch, he keeps on getting hit with the same punch. Follow that jab up with an overhand right. You can keep hitting. You can keep sticking him with that jab, and you can hit him with an overhand right. Maybe he gets lured into it. Maybe you have enough range to where you can clip it head on. But again, follow up with that overhand right. I do believe the overhand right is going to be the most successful punch. It's going to be the most efficient punch for Ryan Garcia in this fight. I'd like to see him use it. And then last but not least, use decoy punches to create openings. If he's not giving you no openings, again, those useless punches that don't mean nothing, throw them, force him to open up his guard. What do you got to tap the guard? What do you got to use feints to go to the body and force him to open up top, or vice versa? Whether you're forcing him to lower his guard, whatever works, do it. But those decoy punches, those punches that don't mean much, stick to them. Force him to open up, force him to make mistakes, and then capitalize on those. So those would be the 3 keys to victory that I have for Ryan Garcia. Now, the 3 keys to victory that I have for Mario Barrios. Well, the first key to victory that I have for Mario Barrios is look for the left hook. I do believe that Ryan Garcia, if he's been susceptible to one punch, it's the left hook. Find that left hook, Mario, and land it. Because if you can land it, you can also knock him down. I don't think it's about power. I think it's about hitting Ryan Garcia with that left hook when he least expect it. I think if you can do that, I think you can get a quick knockdown. I do believe that you can take advantage of that, and I'd like to see it be landed by Mario Barrios. Target the body and pressure him on the inside. Now, I said it, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I stand 10 toes down. I want to see Mario Barrios fight on the outside, but I want to also see him target the body and go onto the inside and then slip back out. I want to see Mario Barrios do a little bit inside work, and I think the best way to get to the inside is to target Ryan Garcia's body. I think if you can target him, you can force to the inside, and I think that you can test to see whether or not Ryan Garcia is still doing that stupid armadillo thing, or if he's still turning his back on his opponents. I think that if you can target him to the body and you can force your way into the inside and you can land some body punches, you can land some shots onto the inside, I do believe that'll be favorable in the judge's eyes. And then last but not least, take the center of the ring and don't move back. Hold your ground. And you can say the same thing about Ryan Garcia, but what I notice is a lot of the opponents that Ryan Garcia fights, they take the middle of the ring. Devin Haney did the same exact thing. Guys like Oscar Duarte took the middle of the ring. And recently, that's where the pressure for Ryan Garcia ends up becoming a problem, is because they take the middle of the ring and they push him back. So I want to see Mario Barrios take the middle of the ring. And I want to see Mario Barrios take the middle of the ring, shrink the space on him early, and control the pace of this fight. Those would be the 3 keys to victory that I have for Mario Barrios. And so with all of that being said, what's my final prediction? Well, look, the one thing that I want to tell y'all to be aware of is go back to the Devin Haney Ryan Garcia fight. A lot of y'all thought Devin Haney was going to win because Ryan Garcia was acting crazy. And then fast forward to the Rolly Romero fight. A lot of y'all thought Ryan Garcia was going to win because we like to make fun of Rolly. The one thing I will say is this: take your personal belief or your personal opinion of Ryan Garcia and chuck it out the window. Take your personal opinion of Mario Barrios and chuck it out the window. It's easy to look at it and be like, Mario Barrios couldn't beat a 45, 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. That's the easy thing to say. But the other thing that you'd be forgetting about is the strengths that Mario Barrios has. What's Ryan Garcia going to do if he gets hit with that right hand? What's Ryan Garcia going to do if he can't work around the space that Mario Barrios is creating? What's he going to do if he gets hit with that left hook? These are questions that are going to have to be asked. Same thing for Ryan Garcia. What's Mario Barrios going to do if he keeps getting hit with the same jab and straight? What's he going to do if his guard is too wide, or if the body's open and Ryan Garcia hits him in the body? What's he going to do if he keeps getting clipped with the hooks? Those are questions for Mario Barrios, and those are questions that are going to be answered. In my opinion, here's how I would see this fight happening. So the way I see this fight happening is I do think that this fight is going to be going to the later rounds. I think that it's going to be a very competitive fight. I think we're going to see more of a chess match between the two. For the middle rounds, I think maybe the early rounds are going to be exciting. I could see Ryan Garcia getting knocked down in this fight by a punch he doesn't expect. But I can also see Mario Barrios being knocked out. Here's my wild prediction. The way I see it is I can see Ryan Garcia suffering a knockdown early. He gets knocked down. I can see him regrouping, recovering, and eventually figuring Mario Barrios out in the middle rounds. Then maybe around rounds 8 or 9, maybe 10, Ryan Garcia lands a knockdown. He hurts Mario Barrios. Mario Barrios gets back up, and then Ryan Garcia TKOs him. And I think I'm going to go with Ryan Garcia by 9th round TKO. I got Ryan Garcia winning by 9th round TKO. I think it's going to be a competitive fight, a back and forth fight. I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I think in the middle round, it's going to be a little bit of a chess match, but I think Ryan Garcia and Derek James are going to figure him out late. I think that he's going to go in there. I think Ryan Garcia will knock him down in the 9th. I think he'll TKO him in the 9th or the 10th. I think Ryan Garcia is going to get the win, but I'm going to go 9th round TKO. And remember, Joe Goosen is training Mario Barrios. Now, that could be an advantage and that could be a disadvantage. The reason why I say it could be an advantage is because Joe Goosen knows Ryan Garcia's strengths and he knows his weaknesses. So he knows what to attack on Ryan Garcia because he trained him. It's not the same as a trainer and a fighter. I know Ryan Garcia said he was smiling ear to ear because he knows what Joe Goosen is going to teach him. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think you know what he's going to teach him. Because Mario Barrios, even though you guys got similarities, you guys are still different fighters in some aspects. So he could train you a little bit different than the way he trained. He could train Mario Barrios differently than the way that Joe Goosen trained Ryan Garcia for Tank Davis. So there's the advantage. The disadvantage is Mario Barrios is going from Virgil Hunter to Joe Goosen. And in my opinion, when you change trainers, you also start creating some inconsistencies. You start trying things that you haven't mastered yet, and that could be a disadvantage for Mario Barrios. But in my opinion, I think in the early rounds, I think Mario Barrios is going to knock him down in the first or the second round. Ryan Garcia is going to get back up. Ryan Garcia and Derek James, they're going to learn from the Rolly fight. They're going to actually be active. They're going to figure out how to get through Mario Barrios, and they're going to TKO him in the 9th or the 10th round. But I'm going to go 9th round. So that is my prediction for Garcia versus Barrios. And with all that being said, it's time for us to wrap this up. Again, make sure y'all continue to tune into the Puncher's Point. Make sure y'all tune in to Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios, February 21st, T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada, for the WBC Welterweight Championship. But come back here after the fight for the post-fight episode. You're not going to want to miss it. And also tune into the Puncher's Point on the YouTube, the podcast platforms, the social medias. Again, we got a bunch of great content coming out. So make sure y'all definitely tune into that content. Make sure y'all tune into the content that we already created. And last but not least, make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.